You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 54. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. Today's episode is for all of you working moms, and the topic has me a bit fired up. My guest today is Crystalee Beck, founder of Copywriters and The Mama Ladder, and I absolutely adore her. She's created a community for working moms that is the ultimate support system. We're talking about her journey from the corporate world to becoming a mom and deciding she wanted to work for herself, and how she now has 2 companies under her belt. But we're also talking about the phrase mom guilt and our thoughts around it. I'm going to give you a hint at what you're going to hear from us, and it's that we don't believe anyone should be feeling guilty about working and the enjoyment that work brings you. If you do feel this so-called mom guilt, then the truth is that you're probably already kicking some major ass and doing an awesome job, and that's why you think you should be feeling guilty about something. But you shouldn't. If working brings you joy and fulfillment, then you should do it and don't feel bad about it. I truly love this conversation, and I hope you do too, because it's a must listen for all you mamas out there. Hi, Crystalee.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining me. I am so excited to have you on the show. This has been like a year in the making, so it is high time to be able to have you here and to chat with you. Would you take a moment, please, and introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, Michelle, I'm glad to. My name is Crystalee Beck. I'm a proud mama of 3 cute mess makers. I'm a business owner and very passionate about building business. I own 2 companies, a content marketing company and also the Mama Ladder, where we support mom entrepreneurs.
You are a busy woman. I know this. And we've chatted, I think this was more like when I was starting out, about, taking time to be a business owner and, having that versus having your children. And one thing that you said to me a long time ago was not feeling guilty to have a babysitter so you can get work done. And so today I want to tackle like all of this mom guilt nonsense. Let's talk about being a business owner and how did you get to where you are that you own 2 businesses? And I want you to share what the Mama Ladder is about too.
Yes, I'd love to. So I used to be on the corporate ladder track. So I had a corporate marketing job, and it was a good life, and I had worked with great people. But then I had my first baby, and I'd had this question mark in the back of my mind for a long time, like, what is work going to look like with motherhood? Like I'd always wanted to be a mom my whole life, but I also have always had professional ambition, and that's always been important to me. And so when she was 1 year old, the week after she turned 1, actually, I was laid off from my job, and it wasn't just me. There were several others. So don't think I was being singled out. But here I had this 1-year-old baby. I was actually pregnant. I hadn't announced it, but I got pregnant pretty quick with my second baby. So I had a baby on the inside, baby on the outside, and my husband was out of work at the time. He was unemployed. And so neither of us had jobs. So we had to figure things out. And I had some time before my next baby came to really think about, what do I want my motherhood to look like, my life to look like what really matters to me. And I decided that instead of going back to a corporate ladder, I would create my own ladder to fit my family. And I'd always really admired women who started their own companies, but that always terrified me because I just didn't know how to do it or how to start. But I decided that I would not miss my children's childhood. I would be there for them. but I also needed to make money. We didn't have jobs, and had a passion for working using my creativity. So I started my first company. That was in 2016.
We have so much similarities because when my husband was laid off, I got pregnant with our first. Then at 4 months, our first son was born, and when he was 4 months old, I found out I was pregnant, and then I got laid off.
Oh, wow.
It was very similar. And then you did some
Yeah,
stuff. You were a flight attendant at one point too, right?
I was. Yes, that was my first job after I graduated college. I wanted to get paid to travel. So
And I was in corporate aviation for 18 years. So
we're like mirrors of each other, Michelle.
it's too funny. So how did you decide what your business was going to be?
Well, I realized I'm like, if my employer was paying me for the skill set of marketing and writing, so I was a marketing writer. So I wrote for brands like Microsoft and Sony and HP. I really got to see behind the scenes on some really big companies. Like if they were paying me for that skill set, there have to be clients who would pay me for that too. So I started just solopreneur, and just used my network to get some writing gigs. I ended up having more than I felt like I could handle. I only wanted to work part-time, work in the afternoons, and play with my kids in the morning, which is actually what I've done for 4.5 years now, the entire time. The mornings are for them, the afternoon is for my companies. And so I realized I needed to multiply myself. So I hired on a couple other writers, and then I would be the editor. And over 4.5 years, we now have 20 writers and
Wow.
and editors. And I just hired 2 sales team members. And so we're growing a lot, which is so exciting.
That's incredible.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
power to you for having I'm going to say the guts to hire other writers. Like it gives me, I talk about this on the show, like it gives me anxiety to think about outsourcing things, especially when it's going to be a reflection of you. It's your company, your business, and how you do things that you've been able to not just find people, but find 20 of them to work with you and produce quality content just as you would.
It really is a leap of faith, and it requires a lot of trust. And I've definitely had a learning curve, and I've made mistakes. There have been a couple writers that I've had to say goodbye to, that it wasn't a good fit. But we've learned over time what hiring processes work really well for us,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's definitely been an evolution. But I think one of the core things I realized is that I can't think that I'm the only one that has that skill set, because I'm not. There are so many talented writers out there. And honestly, a bunch of our writers are, I would say, better writers than I am. Like they're very, very talented. And they're also looking for flexible opportunities to be able to use their talent. So we're really tapping into the gig economy at Copywriters. Like that's the way that we function, and the way that we grow is helping writers. I like to say we give freedom to writers so they can write wherever they want, wearing what they want in their pajamas. We just want it to be well done and be on time.
I love that. Now, how did the Mama Ladder come about?
Yes. So I started my company, and here I had these 2 little babies, and pretty quickly, I mean, within like 6 months or so, like I realized, like, I'm making more money, like per hour. I'm making more money than I was working full time. I'm happier. I have more time for myself and like to take care of myself. Like there's so many good things about this. And I started having women approach me. I mean, there was one week where I had probably 6 different women who came to me and were asking me like, how are you doing this? How are you doing your own business? And it was interesting that, I never planned on starting another company. I was very happy with my little babies and my life, but it kept coming up over and over. And I really feel like I'm a God person. I believe in God, but I really feel like over and over there are these little whispers, like you need to share this with other mothers. Like what you've learned is not for you to keep to yourself. So whether you're a universe person or a God person, I felt this divine direction that I needed to use what was working for me and share it. And that terrified me, Michelle. Like I'm like, I don't want to be one of those Instagram people. Like I was not planning on starting another company, but it came so strongly that I had to do something about it. And so in 2017, a year and a half after I started my first business, we launched the Mama Ladder. And I really had no idea where it would go or what it would look like, but it's been such a wonderful journey the past 3 years to get to build this community of ambitious mom entrepreneurs.
And can you explain what happens in the Mama Ladder? What does it do to help women launch their businesses?
Yes. So we offer retreats. Our signature retreat is Mama Spring Break. And then we have workshops. Our signature workshop is called Your 100 Grand Plan, Make Good Money While Being a Great Mom. But really the core offer that we have at the Mama Ladder is called Mama Power. And it's our community. And we meet every week. And so it's this really tight-knit group of amazing women who we're all mothers who are committed to our children and to our companies. And we meet every week and support each other. We have guest speakers and we collaborate with each other. And it's this beautiful hub of growth for all these mom-owned companies. And then one other thing to mention that's coming up as this podcast comes out, we host the High Five Grant for Moms, which is a $5,000 business grant competition. And we're hosting the 5th round. So we've done this 5 times now, the 5th time that we offer this for moms who own businesses to help them grow their companies.
Yes. And we want people to apply. We'll post it in the show notes and I'll be on Instagram with it. And we're going to blast it everywhere because, why not apply? It's a grant. That's free money for people who don't understand. It's so great. And you're giving so much powerful, information and resources. And it's a wonderful thing to see moms come together to do this, not just women, not just business owners, but women who are all in the same place, we're raising babies and businesses at the same time. We need to rely on each other and support each other through all of these trials and tribulations.
Absolutely. And I like that you touched on that because when I first started my business owner journey, I invested quite a lot into my own training and finding different courses and coaches. And I realized that there was this gap and it's been funny since then, there's been so many like mom business owner coaches pop up, but 3.5 years ago, there really weren't very many. And there weren't any that really called to me. And I realized, so I had joined a couple different female entrepreneur, like year-long programs. And there's this big gap for me where the leader of it would be this single, wonderful woman, total respect to her, but she didn't have children. And I was just like, there's such a difference in like time limitations for a mom of 2 or 3 kids or 1 kid or whatever. There's so much time that goes into your children. And if you're a single woman, you have so much more time freedom. And so I wanted to have a place that I could go where other women would understand, like, I have a nursing baby or I have a kid who's sick or whatever, like, just like you said, like there's a lot that we deal with as moms. There's a lot and it never stops. It's a constant thing. And so having a community that understands you're wearing your mom hat, but you're also wearing a business owner hat, and it's okay to wear both, and they actually complement each other, has been so powerful for me. Even though I'm the hostess, it has been so empowering in my own life.
And especially now, during COVID, we're still sheltering in place here in California. I honestly thought that this fall, my son started kindergarten, so we were going to enroll my daughter into preschool. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get 9 hours a week to myself. And no, that is so not happening. Like my schedule is now even more chaotic than when they didn't go to school at all because I'm running up and down the stairs and, oh, you have your Zoom call and, oh, let me make sure this is right. So it's great that, you can be surrounded by people who are understanding exactly that. because it looks the same for so many of us right now, just as it does, when they do go to school.
Yes. And you're so right about that. Like this added level of complexity during COVID. And there are millions of women in the exact same boat, and we are not alone.
Yes. Yeah. Now let's talk about the women, the millions of us in the same boat, and this word, I'm using air quotes over here that nobody can see, of mom guilt, because I feel like it's one of those trending hashtags, just like the hot mess mom. It's like, we're not really a hot mess. Just because you have your hair in a messy bun doesn't mean that you are a complete hot mess. And when it comes to mom guilt, I know that you have thoughts on this, so I want to hear what you think about it. And I know that we agree on it, but let's dive into it. What do you think when someone says that they've got mom guilt over being a working mom?
Oh, I just want to help them realize that they can change that for themselves. At the Mama Ladder, we really seek to normalize not feeling guilty for going after your goals and being yourself and showing your kids what's possible through you being a business owner. And I see mom guilt. This is going in my book that I'm writing right now. I see mom guilt to have two types. One is merited and one is unmerited. So for merited, meaning that it has meaning or it's something to take note of, if your child is literally starving and you're not feeding them, or they're living on the street and they don't have a house, or they have just the basic needs are not being met, and you feel guilty about that, there's a reason and you need to listen to that. But where I think the hashtag mom guilt and this trendy, frankly, like first world problem of mom guilt tends to go, I would say most of it's unmerited. It's women comparing themselves to other moms. It's women thinking, oh, my kid needs to have every single thing to have every advantage in life. And if I don't sign them up for everything that anyone else is ever doing, then I'm not being the best mom possible. And this expectation of perfection is frankly harmful. Like it's not realistic. It doesn't help your child and it doesn't help you. And so for those unmerited mom guilt feelings of, I didn't spend every minute with my child and I had a babysitter, does that make me a bad mom? Because that at the core of it, that's what it boils down to, right? Like if you're feeling mom guilt, it's because you think you're doing something wrong in some way. But wrong according to who? Wrong
Right.
according, yeah, go ahead. Let's get your feedback.
No, you're right. I'm like, yes, preach.
I literally will have like a whole chapter in my upcoming book on this because I just see it to be such a waste of energy. And women need to realize like, there's nothing wrong with you if you feel it. I want to be gentle to those who feel mom guilt. There's nothing wrong with you, but I hope to open the possibility for you that you don't have to carry this around. You don't have to. You can let it go.
If you're a podcaster and you want to grow your downloads, get more listeners, and appear to be everywhere at one time, then I have the solution for you. I've just launched the Repurpose Your Podcast course, and it is perfection. I'm going to teach you 16 plus different ways to take your one piece of content from your podcast and plug it in multiple places. You're going to save time and money and energy while being in so many different places in the world that your audience is going to grow massively by leaps and bounds. From show notes to graphics to different platforms, I'm giving you all of my tips, tools, and the exact process on how you can do this. I'm going to make this so easy for you that you can literally take the links to your graphics and templates and plug them in and then hand them off. You'll be able to create a team to do this for you, to outsource it, and without question. This is pure brilliance, my friends, and it's going to take your business and your podcast to a new level. It's time for you to stop wasting time by creating content for every different platform and utilizing your podcast to be your biggest and best marketing tool available. Go sign up for the Repurpose Your Podcast course today. You can find it at the mslcollective.com/repurpose. The doors are open now, and I guarantee this is going to change your podcast. I think it's a big mindset shift. I will say that I'm guilty of feeling, some sort of guilt, the mom guilt of, oh, I'm not spending enough time with my kids. Well, the truth of the matter is I am home with them 24 hours a day. So is my husband. We worked from home before COVID. No children normally are with their parents as much as ours are. So there is absolutely no reason in the world that I should feel guilty that I didn't get down on the floor and play for 2 hours today with them, because they have been with me. We're in the same room. If they need something, I'm right there. We're constantly interacting. And so for me, it's a mindset shift of, no, there's nothing to be guilty of. I'm here. I'm making money so that I can feed them, put a roof over their heads, and they're still interacting with me and they see me versus, I don't have to leave the house, which is a wonderful gift that not everybody gets to have. But, recognizing that we're doing a kick-ass job, really.
Yes, you are. And you can feel good about that. And I think like where you just said, there's like a couple just key words there where you said that you've had moments where you feel guilty not spending enough time with them. So then drill down for yourself. Enough, like what is enough for you as a mom? What is enough for them? Like define it a little bit. Like, do you want to have an hour a day that you're down on the floor playing with them? What does enough look like? Like instead of just having it be compared to some unrealistic expectation, like if you can kind of define for yourself a little bit of, and maybe because I do think our children need that like focus time on them. I try to give my children focus time at least every day, for maybe it's 10 minutes, but just where they know that I'm focused on them. They're not competing with my computer. They see that I'm looking at them. And that's a big reason why I don't feel mom guilt, is that I know what feels like enough for me. And I try to do that. I'm not perfect at it. And that's okay. But and that's just, I'm putting that out there, not just for you, Michelle, but for anyone listening. Like if you're saying I'm not spending enough time, what does that look like? What enough according to who? Like define it for yourself so that you can look at that and say, so if you're wanting to have, let's say it's 30 minutes a day of uninterrupted focus time with your child, is that something that you truly want? Or is that something that you were taught by a friend or by a parent? Like, is that truly what you want? And if it is, that's awesome. Then go for that and shoot to do that. But if it's something that you're placing or burdening on yourself because it's what someone else has told you need to do, then just examine that and look at that and see, what is it that I truly want in my motherhood?
Yeah. And I think something else that it's really helped us is simply communicating with our kids. My husband and I are big on communication in general. So, we have shared calendars and what are you doing? Where are you going to be? This is what I'm doing. But to involve your kids, when they wake up in the morning, I tell them, okay, today mommy has this interview and then I've got this call and this one, it's important, but it's okay if you come in. You can pop in and say hello to this client or whatever. And so they understand that. And so their expectations, they mirror what reality is. And I think that's important. And you can't start too young.
And that is so empowering for your children, Michelle. That's awesome that they feel like they're almost like a stakeholder in your company. And they're like, oh, like I can help mom by giving her some space right now. Like that's setting such beautiful boundaries for them and helping them help you. I love it.
And I think the other important thing is to be flexible. As times change, like here we are in COVID, and I thought to myself, oh, well, I've got my son's schedule. So I'm going to change my schedule to kind of fit his. And I blocked out recess times on my calendar and lunchtime. And then his teacher lets him out 10 minutes early. And I'm like, oh, well, then I guess that goes out the window, but to be flexible in changing your schedule and making sure what works for your family and you can help eliminate some of that quote unquote guilt.
Yes. And that I love that, because we can't control, if anything this year has taught us, is that we can't control external factors. Like, there are things out there in the world or even outside our homes that we can't control, but we can look at our time and look at how we're like using our energy and how we're approaching things and be like, and adjust. Yeah. So that it works for us.
So what would you tell someone who is, feeling like they're just suffering from the mom guilt? You already said that, we need to define what this looks like for ourselves, but how do you just approach it with that mindset and, I need to knock it off? How do we get this out of our culture and out of social media?
Oh, I would love to just purge it out of social media, because it becomes this self-perpetuating problem where women I love that you said like the hot mess mom, like where it's like trendy almost, and there's not even a lot of thought into it. It's just this flippant, like, oh yeah, mom guilt. But for those who really suffer and hold themselves back in their life because they feel guilty that they're not there enough for their children or they're not being a good mom, like there is real true suffering because of those types of feelings. And so if I could speak to those women who are currently feeling this weight and burden of mom guilt, I want to say to you, the fact that you feel that way most likely means that you're a great mom. It means that you care. It means that you really care, and you're very aware of how you're treating your children and how you're loving them. So take that as a sign that you're doing something right. And none of us is perfect. I have my moments when I yell at my kids, and I might feel a little bad and I apologize. But I'm learning, we're all learning, and it's okay not to get motherhood right every single time. And I would also say to you, if you feel this burden of mom guilt, ask yourself some questions. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Where did this come from? Am I expecting myself to be like another mom in my life, whether it's my mom or a friend or a sister? Who am I comparing myself to if I am? And the biggest question of all, does this mom guilt help me? Does it help me or hurt me? And if it's hurting you, my friend, you can let it go. You can release it.
That's beautiful. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I could just cry. You're so right. It's a made up term. It's, something that we don't have to feel. It's not, a medical condition. It's not something that it feels like it's something that we have to feel because that's what a working mom should feel, because that's what society is, saying. But it's nonsense. It's BS. I'll
Yes.
just leave it at that.
And you kind of reminded me, Michelle, just a brief little anecdote. I remember a few years ago, I was sitting in this group of professional women and they were having a speaker, and I was a visitor, but they were at this company. They had probably 40 women in the room, and they had a male speaker, and one of the leaders, the women, she was like a vice president. She made the comment in front of all of these women, "My life is run on guilt." And there were all these women in the room nodding their heads. And he said, this business leader, who's a mentor of mine, he said, "I don't feel any guilt." And it's something that's always stayed with me, because I remembered I did not feel in alignment with that vice president mom woman. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? And why are you perpetuating this for all of these women who look up to you? Why are you teaching them that mom guilt is how you run your life? When, if you are living in alignment with your values, you do not need to feel guilty. And so maybe for her, she wasn't living in alignment, but that doesn't mean that you, my friend listening right now, if you are living in alignment and doing the very best you can, that's good enough. And you can feel great about that.
Yeah, as you were saying that, it popped into my head that maybe she didn't enjoy what she did for a living. Like this was not
Ooh,
her purpose and her passion.
yeah.
And, because I've now come to think of what I do, I have found my purpose and my passion, and I am impacting lives and helping others do the same. And I love what I do because I know I'm making a difference. But maybe you feel guilty because you feel like you're wasting your time or spinning your wheels in a career or business that you don't actually enjoy. And it is taking time from your family because you don't feel it is, worth your own time per se.
Michelle, that's very wise. And I think that you're spot on. As I remember that leader, I think you're spot on. And so again, mom guilt is something that it's not widespread. It's a personal set of beliefs, and our beliefs can change when we have new information. And so hopefully those listening, hopefully this is helping you just see in a new way, like, am I perpetuating what someone else has told me I'm supposed to feel? Because if it's not helping me, I don't need to keep doing that.
Yeah, get rid of it, kick it to the curb. It's right up there with imposter syndrome. Like, forget it. So what's our new hashtag going to be? Like hashtag banish mom guilt? No more mom guilt?
I just wouldn't even use the word at all. I'd probably say like, well, and I'm all about mama power. That's our community, but basically like the free mom or like just you be you kind of thing. I know there you do you is really popular, but it's just there's so much beauty in a mother who allows herself to be herself. And your children watching you do that, like I can't think of a better way to show them that they can do what they want in their lives by you doing it and not just saying it. Like you're giving your children such a gift when you're working on something that you love.
Absolutely. And I know we both love our work. So I know our kids are seeing it and they recognize it, and they're going to be better humans just because of it. That's my belief.
I do too. Okay, I have to share this with you. It reminds me, I just saw this quote this past weekend, Michelle, and this is spot on what we're talking about right now. This is by the author E. E. Cummings, who
Hmm.
wrote, "To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best day and night to make you like everybody else means to fight the hardest battle that which any human can fight. Never stop fighting. To be yourself."
That's beautiful. And it's the
Yeah.
truth. I think when I became a mom, there was something that clicked. There was something that shifted where like I no longer took anything from anyone. Like you can't treat me this way. You can't talk to me this way. Like I'm a mom. I carried and created a human being, and now I'm taking care of this individual, and no, you will not make me go fly across the United States. You will not make me go, do whatever. And I think there's an empowerment in which we do want to find ourselves, and you become a mom and there's that shift. And I think that's part of it. And, I think that's why we're seeing so many moms starting their own businesses and making these big career switches, because we want to find ourselves and better ourselves in order to show our children that they can do the same.
Amen to that, Michelle. I've just been nodding my head and smiling over here. I so agree. And I share this in my teachings and workshop that my children are like most moms in business. They are my motivation. Like they are my why. And they're the reason that I'm an entrepreneur, is so that I have the freedom to be there for them in the ways that I want to. And like you said, they pair so well together to be a dedicated mother and also be an ambitious business owner or employee, whatever that looks like for you as a working mom. It can be this beautiful pairing that they're feeding off each other, that your children are learning and growing with you in your work, and then you bring to your work the lessons and leadership and passion that you have from your motherhood. Like it's this beautiful merge.
Absolutely. And so can you share with everyone how they can become part of more of this merge with the Mama Ladder, where they can find you, please?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I hope that you apply for our grant. It's open from September 25th through October 16th at High Five Grant, all spelled out, the word and the number, high5grant.com. And our main website is the Mama Ladder. And we spell Mama, M-A-M-A, the Mama Ladder. Instead of a corporate ladder, we're the Mama Ladder. And we're on Instagram. We just launched a new YouTube channel this summer. So if you search for the Mama Ladder on YouTube, I've been putting out new videos that I'm really proud of that are little, just bite-sized 2 and 3 minute videos that are really helpful for mindset and operations and just running a business while being a mom. So love to see you on YouTube too.
You are crushing it. And when's your book coming out?
I'm planning to have it done by next summer, which will be our 4th anniversary at the Mama Ladder.
Okay. I can't wait for that book tour then.
Oh, thank you. The working title is Create Your Own Ladder.
I love it.
A mom's guide to building a business that fits your family.
Okay. And then you'll come back on to talk about that. So we'll be hearing more from you in the future.
I would love that.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Michelle. This was so much fun.
All right, ladies, are you feeling a sense of relief from letting go of any of those thoughts of guilt that you've been harboring? I certainly hope so. And I hope that if you haven't found that job that fuels your purpose and is your passion, that you're also taking some time to look for that. We have this one life to live, and we deserve to be doing something that excites us. Don't feel guilty about being a working mom. Don't feel guilty about showing your kids that you not only show up for them, but you show up for your work as well. This week, I want you to practice feeling good and proud about what you're doing, the work in the world you're doing, the loving mom that you are, and the fact that you're doing it all. Reflect on that for a moment and soak in the fact that you're a great human and a fantastic mom, and your kids are growing up to see the way life should be lived, in happiness and fulfillment. As a reminder, if you've got a business, go apply for the High Five Grant. Your future will thank you. Until next week, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and stay guilt-free.